We've come a long way since the beginning of the home shopping experience. We like to do things a little differently now.
If you don't take lifts up, I'll kill you.
Okay, we like to do things a lot differently now. Introducing to you the next evolution of online shopping. Say hello to Verb. Engage and interact with customers like never before, and turn your sales team into stars with Verb's unique, interactive, and live approach. Get in front of the largest audience possible and give your customers a feel of exclusivity and ease in a super intuitive sales cycle designed to put prospects in front of products. For any commodity and any customer, market with Verb.
You're watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burke Godwin. I am learning a lot on this episode, and I'm about to learn a lot more. Hopefully you will too. So our next guest, he is an author and the founder and managing director of Adagio Group. His book is called The Shadow Banker's Secret, and we're learning something today about shadow banking, which I did not know about. So Benjamin Summers, welcome to America Trends.
Good to be here.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Where are you zooming in from?
Naples, Florida.
Florida, all right, across the coast. So, or across the country, I should say. So talk to me, I did not know the term shadow banking. So I'd like to learn a little bit about that, and then also would like to hear about your book, The Shadow Banker's Secret. So talk to me about shadow banking.
Sure, shadow banking has sort of an ominous connotation. It simply refers to any financial institution that's non-depository, right? So if you go to your local Bank of America or Wells Fargo, you can make a deposit, open a checking account, and that's the most sort of familiar commercial banking that most people engage. So shadow banking is everything else effectively in finance. So you can think of it in terms of private equity funds, investment banking, you name it. Everything that's a financial institution that's non-depository falls under the category of shadow banking.
I think I saw even listed like pawn shops or something were on that list.
Right, yeah, so I mean, it's as with everything in finance, the terms are kind of obfuscated. They're a little vague. So yeah, I think some people tend to associate the term even with loan sharks, right, on the extreme end.
Right.
But sort of the context that we talk about it in is generally the larger financial institutions, like, again, investment banks and private equity firms and various investment vehicles.
Got it. And would cryptocurrency and that kind of monetization or, digital monetization fall into this?
Well, I guess technically any firm that's issuing such a currency could loosely be categorized in that way.
Okay, and how did you get into, or how you started Adagio Group?
Yes.
How long ago did you do that?
Quite a while. 2005 is when we launched that firm. I did not grow up expecting to be in finance. I grew up in South Louisiana, played sports my entire life, had a brief stint in professional baseball, and then my father ultimately encouraged me to enter the oil and gas industry because that's where sort of he had worked, and that's sort of the business, so to speak. But after landing overseas and having some relatively sort of high-profile jobs, you might describe, it was not what I thought it would be cut out to be, right? It was very anti-intellectual, very fraternal, and the culture associated with it was less than ideal. So anyway, long story short, decided to rotate into an entrepreneurial venture. At the time, this is sort of, again, around mid-2000s. Real estate was really hot, so decided to start a real estate investment company because it allowed for a lot of leverage, minimal startup capital, and pretty soon saw that there were a lot of people chasing very few good deals, and eventually evolved in sophistication into an ABL fund, and then eventually investment banking. I guess the piece that was left out is my academic background is physics. So I had the sort of the mathematical chops that were kind of conducive to that. I
was going to say, you talked about sports and stuff, but you also got to be a smart cookie to do what you're doing.
Well, it does require math skills, I would argue, and a lot of people don't necessarily have that. And I think it's sort of to the detriment of the industry, right? One of my biggest frustrations I see, particularly with retail finance, is if you ask 1,000 financial professionals, what is risk? Right? This is supposed to be the defining characteristic of investing. most brook trout look. They have no idea, right? They'll talk around it. They'll talk about variables that contribute to risk. They'll talk about heuristics that the sort of culture imposes, but nobody can really define it, which is shocking because the counterbalance to that, which is the gambling industry, understands it thoroughly, and it's very successfully predicated on a mathematical sort of application in that context.
And
so
takes
anyway,
advantage of people that don't know math or don't takes advantage of people.
Sure.
So talk to me about what Adagio Group does. You know, if I hire you, what are the ways in which you can help me? Do you help individuals? Do you help businesses?
Right. So we have a public charity that's public facing, and the intent of that public charity is to provide the education and insights that, say, the retail market, again, the public would need or would help them to better navigate the dysfunction.
Oh, we lost you, Benjamin.
Concerned.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Yeah.
We lost you for a second. So go back to there, just the beginning of that question.
Sure.
You know, how you start with clients.
Right. So we have a public charity, and that is public facing, right? And the intent of that is to provide public education to the retail market to help, the public better navigate the dysfunction of the financial services industry. But our firm is institutional facing. So on the buy side, we seek and recruit asset managers who can generate objectively better risk-adjusted performance. And then we financially engineer the investments to wrap it and then distribute those investments. And then on the sell side, that's where the distribution of those investments comes in. We provide institutions, primarily funds of funds, access to better performance they can otherwise get and plug specific holes in their portfolios. So it's a bit of a mouthful, but yeah, that sums it up.
Sums it up. Okay, great. So we can find, so do you work with people that are not in Florida? Can you work with institutions and groups that are not in Florida?
Sure, yeah, we're definitely non-local. We have a global presence. We work with firms around the world. So yeah, generally local firms are retail in nature.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for taking time to talk to us. I learned a lot from you today, Benjamin, and I'm very excited you stopped by today or, through Zoom, joined us today. People can find you at the Adagio Group, or you can be found at Benjamin D. Summers on Instagram. The Adagio Group, check them out. Shadow banking, fascinating stuff, and not necessarily what you might think it means. So learned a lot today. Had a great episode. Thank you all for joining us. We love having you here at America Trends, here on biztv.com. You can find us on America Trends TV on Instagram, Facebook, and X. And we'll be back here tomorrow night, 10 p.m. See you again tomorrow.